Hi, this is Kim Nelson. In this video, I'm going to continue along with this maquetting of a dome ring. I'm going to go ahead and do the bezel for this ring. Bezel is for a faceted stone. I need to bring a few things together in order to work through this. Clean house a little. This is from one of our previous videos. Go ahead and put those in storage. Just getting myself some layers to work with. Okay. Those who watched the previous video, it is interesting to see the difference in the two bottom halves. Okay, that should suffice. Now I need to bring my views back that I'm going to want to work with for this. For my elevations, I can use my front view. But for my size and whatnot, I'm going to want my top view back. So, ungroup. Sorry. Copy. Undo the ungroup. Paste it back in. And put that back on the top view layer so we can work with it. So, the last thing I need to do is I need to bring in the stone. Apologize for the performance. I actually have previous video processing while I'm doing this next video, so I'm asking a lot of my machine right now. So, now what you can see for some reason there are two stones on top of each other. Oh. That is interesting. Oh, one of them has color proportions. The other one is diamond proportions. We want the color proportions, slightly deeper. Or do we? Because one of them is fully faceted and the other one isn't. We'll go with the fully faceted model. That's fine. This setting is deep enough for color, no problem anyway. So I need to make this stone, which is not the right size, the size that I need it to be. Easiest way to do that is to just do a orient 2 points, scale no, copy no, scale yes. Sorry. Object snaps I'm going to want one of them to be quad. I'm going to go ahead and project this to the C-plane so my part doesn't move up and down. And reference 1, reference 2, target 1, target 2. Now the reason I did it across the narrower dimension is, remember, the depth of the stone is always dictated by the narrower dimension on the stone. Now I'll just do a non-uniform scale. To achieve the other dimension. A lot of ends there, so I'll just start at 0. And once again, here to there. Y stays the same, Z stays the same. And now I have a stone that's the proper size. I'm going to move this stone up into position. I'm going to want about that much of the bezel to use to set the stone. So that's a good location for that. Ungroup. Go ahead and take these two curves and move them up to where they line up with the top of my bezel line here, my bezel rim. I'm going to do that once again, keeping project on and going from this quad to that end. Going to extrude. This straight down. Solid, yes. And deeper than the stone. Now normally when I create stones in my library, I have a girdle line. I don't on this one. Okay, I do want a girdle line here, so easy enough to do. I'm going to extract an isocurve. No longer want to project on my object snaps, and a mid should work because somewhere along here there's going to be a seam right there. Bring back my bezel. I'm going to extrude this curve straight up. Solid option. Ah, that's interesting. You will note that there is a gap. A couple of them actually. Now, I can fight with that if I want to, but what I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to take the stone profile from the top view and copy it down to that elevation. I'm going to cut that out for a minute on the Windows clipboard, delete the messy curve, and then paste the good one back in. Which once again this computer is going to struggle with because it's processing another video in the background. And extrude this straight up so that it is deeper, or higher, I should say, than the bezel. Bring my stone back. And I'm just going to extrude this curve to point. Extract an isocurve. Make it out of color you guys can see. I just need enough of that for the stone to sit on, of that pavilion. That should be sufficient. Take that curve, extrude it straight down until it penetrates or goes past the ring bore. Use that curve to trim off the bottom of the tapered extrusion, the conical extrusion. join these parts together. This is capped, so I need to remove the bottom cap surface. And then join these together. I have an opening at the bottom of the surface I need to close up, so solid menu, cap planar holes. And there we go, that's a cutter. I'm going to use that cutter to cut out the center of my bezel, but before I do that, I'll go ahead and Boolean union the bezel to my shank. Before I ever do a Boolean, I like to take the parts I'm going to Boolean and copy them out. I'm actually going to take all three of these parts. Copy, paste, group, put them in my storage objects layer. Because taking something apart that you Boolean together is very tedious. So solid union. I'm going to go ahead and fillet the edge of this bezel. 3/10 should be good. And now I'm going to Boolean difference to open up the setting. And that'll do it. Clean up the drawing. Actually, I'll group those together and put them in storage. I already have this information in storage. And there's the completed maquette. To make this a finished dome ring, I'd basically just hollow it. But I would also expect there to be details on here. The point of doing a maquette like this is so that I can add more detail later, or draw it on in my drawing software, so I don't have to take the time to model it up front. You don't ever want to have to completely model a ring in order to see your design. It takes too long. In preparation for taking this information into a drawing program to develop further, I will go ahead and Boolean these together. So once again, if I'm going to Boolean, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, and group it and put it in storage. And I'll go ahead and Boolean union. You want to solid union things together when you're going to do a 2D drawing. Rhino can't see inside of things. Now, I don't really need this stone for my drawing, but I'd like it. Rhino refused to Boolean it, so I'm going to just nudge it down a little bit and try again. Okay. Once again, because I'm doing a video, it is not going to let me Boolean union. I could go through the trouble of sorting this out. I don't really care to. I am going to move it back up to where it was. And I'm just going to do a flat scale, because for the purpose of the drawing, it doesn't matter. 2D scale. Just so that it bites in securely. When Rhino struggles with a Boolean, folks, it's usually because the math is too sophisticated. things you're just touching instead of overlapping, and Rhino hates that. See, there we go. All right, moving on so I can complete this in time. I'm going to make my drawing. Dimension, make 2D drawing. You want third angle projection from input objects. Grouping output is nice. You do not want hidden lines or tangent edges or any of that stuff going on. And hit OK. And Rhino provides you your views. Now, the truth is that perspective views, three-quarter views, are never accurate. So we're not going to use this view. But the rest are good. Go ahead and put it on. Sorry, the visible curves layer. Wow. I don't love this about Rhino 6, that there are a dozen and also that it kept the color of the parent object. That's very tedious. Okay. Anyway, not to be distracted. Going to center this in my view. Group them together. Last thing I'm going to do is get an actual size drawing off of that three-quarter view. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to make a reference object. In this case, it'll be a sphere. Spheres are wonderful because spheres are the same size no matter what angle you look at them from. So they work really well as a reference object in this case. So 10 millimeter sphere. Now wherever I want actual size to be is where I'm going to place this sphere. You can't have actual size everywhere. So it's either in the middle of the ring bore or at the stone. And usually for rings and jewelry, we want it at the stone. Go ahead and drag a selection around that. Now this time I'm going to put view. And I don't know why it did what it did last time. It's going to do the same thing this time. I frankly am a Rhino 5 guy most of the time, and when I'm doing drafting and whatnot, I am more confident in that environment. But this will work. I've turned that layer off, so it's been hidden from me. So there's that. Okay, got to back up a little. I'm sorry. First thing I need to do is make sure I don't move my viewport, because I need to get a snapshot of this just the way I want it. So let's say I want that angle. I'll just group those together. Now I'm going to turn off the sphere and do it again. Exactly the same way. I can turn off my top view now. I'm going to create a reference circle. Center radius, 10 millimeters. I'm going to take the one that has the sphere in it, and I am going to orient that drawing. Scale 3D, copy no. And I'm going to snap to the center of the sphere and the quadrant. Center of the sphere, quadrant. I'm going to do the same thing with this drawing. And this time I'll just pick any 2 points that exist in both drawings in this case. There's my references. And there are my targets. I can now throw away the reference curve. I can throw away the reference drawing. And now I have an actual size 3/4 view drawing. I'm going to assign the display by layer so that it looks like the rest. And before I were to export this out, I would draw a border around it to take it into 2D software, which I will discuss more in the next video. But there we go. That is complete. Thanks for watching.